Holocaust Centre oral testimony project interview being conducted on the 18th of November 1993. Being interviewed this morning is Mrs. Rachel Amit, and the interviewer is Moshe Morris. Rachel, first a few personal details. When were you born?
Before we go to that, I like the date when you mentioned 18, which means high.
Yes.
Hebrew. Right. Well, I was born in Czechoslovakia, in Apša, Stredna Apša.
And what year were you born?
1928.
And where did your mother and father and their families come from?
My father also lived there, and my grandparents. My mother came from the city, which is 6 kilometers, Marmor-Sziget, where, by the way, Elie Wiesel comes from. And married my father and came to live in Apša.
And could you please describe your parents' extended families?
My mother comes from a family of 9 sisters and 1 brother. My father comes from a family 7 brothers and 1 sister.
It was a large family.
Yes, yes.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 3 brothers and 4 brothers and 1 more sister and myself. There are 6 children.
And what were their ages just prior to the war?
One was 22, 20 and 18. They're my 3 bigger brothers. And then the young one just had his bar mitzvah, and the little Perla, who was 9.
And your younger sister was how old?
She was 9.
She was 9.
Yes.
What did your father do for a living?
He was dealing with land, buying land, hire land for a season, and grow orchards. Orchards used to have, and just hire for the fruit, or and then he was also buying cows. He was always on a horse riding to the Ikarim, to the farmers and deal, buying of cows and then send off to the market. And he was a handler.
Yes. Did he employ workers?
Yes. Yes, he had always people who came, let's say, to the market to take the cows, or work in the orchards and look after the orchard for the season. And then, it was a gamble. He bought off for the season.
Yes.
An orchard.
Yes.
The fruit was good, so it was a good season.
What was the nature of his relationship with his employees?
Very good. Very good, so much so that if we children, we became already modern or naughty and went to swim on Saturday, and when they saw us, they went home to tell father that we are swimming, and he came towards us just to make sure that our hair is dry so we don't make mother angry, because she was the one who was very religious, and he was a compromiser. He understood us, and with him we could always get away with things. I mean, in that respect of, because you ask what relationship, very good relationship. Or for example, when they used to go off with the coming early in the morning and get their orders for the daily work, and my father used to daven at home because it was very early, and they used to sit and wait until he finished. They used to sit there as a bench, and the next room my father was playing, and they were sitting till he finished, and then gave them the orders. And very good relationship. Then I ran away because I left. When we get later, you will hear. So when I said who I am on the way running to the ghetto to my parents, when I was in hiding place, when I said who I am, They took me in, but they couldn't keep me, send me off. We'll get to that, just the relationship.
How would you describe your life during this pre-war period? Would you say that you were affluent or poor, middle class,
No,
comfortable?
no, comfortable, just comfortable, but not far from affluent, because I remember as a little girl when I saw my teacher's daughter having beautiful dolls and toys, and we had just simple toys and we played. We were happy, very happy children, but I remember this, I would have done anything to let me play with the doll, and we did. We did for her, she knew that. And whatever she asked, we would do just to let us play with that beautiful doll that she opened her eyes and closed her eyes and said, "Mama," and that was already something unbelievable. So, yeah, we had very simple toys. And
What sort of school did you and your brothers and sister attend? Was it a religious school or a secular school?
we attended two schools. In the morning was the secular, and in the afternoon was the cheder. So the boys, of course, were the whole afternoon, but I was only a couple of hours.
Yes. And what level did you reach in your education?
Nothing. I just, because the Hungarians came in, you see, when I was born, so till the Czechs, I went to school, the Czech school, and then the Hungarians came in, and we could still go to school, but it was a new language, and it was lost a lot. And then later on, of course, when we couldn't go to school anymore, so my parents sent me to Siget. I went to where my mother came from, and there I was learning sewing. I was a, how do you call when you learn for 2 years, apprentice?
Yes.
Next to my cousin, that she was a very known dressmaker, and I was working next to her with her.
Yes. How old were you then?
14.
So the
Not
war
even
had,
14.
the war had already commenced?
Yes, when we couldn't go to school.
Mm.
So I was then often used to come home for Shabbat.
Yes. What was your parents' attitude to secular education as opposed to a religious education?
No, we had very good relationship with the teachers and with the non-Jews, and
Your parents were happy for you to have a secular as opposed
there
to
was no
religious?
other, there was no Jewish
There-
school,
No.
full-time Jewish school.
No.
No, that was not far from us, that was in Munkacs. In Munkacs was Hebrew, even a Hebrew, how do you call it, before university.
A secondary school?
Yes, in Hebrew,
Right.
yes.
What language was spoken at home?
Well, my parents spoke when they didn't want us to understand was Hungarian, because you see they were, before the First World War, that belonged to Hungary. So they went to Hungarian school,
Yes.
my father mainly. And then we went to Czech. We spoke Czech, Yiddish, not German, that was later, it wasn't German. Czech, Yiddish,
At home?
at home. The children among us, we spoke Czech, so the parents wouldn't understand everything. They
So
spoke Hungarian, so we wouldn't understand.
that was
but
your
so
way of getting back.
But the ear, yes.
What contacts, if any, did you and your family have with non-Jews in your community?
A lot. A lot. Apart from before Christmas or before Easter, they somehow, the non-Jews, had to, it was their tradition that the Jews killed Jesus. So they somehow had to come through. But I can't say that it was really anti-Semitism until the Hungarians came. Because then, for example, they wanted our house. There was a certain person who wanted very much our house because we were on the main street in the center, and it was a new house that my father built, and he wanted it. And we didn't want to get out. He threw stones into the house. Father was a Havdalah, and all of a sudden a stone through the window.
What year was
But
that?
otherwise, that was in 1940. 41. That's why I said early the book, because as she said, I was lucky that my mother could help me with writing of my book. I wish she would have been alive and could have reminded me and helped me with all these dates and times, and which I do not exactly recall.
No, well, I think you're doing all right.
But this is childhood
Yes.
that stays with you. I think that helped me overcome this hardship, because we had a very warm home, and it was good. It was quite a good life.
Yes, you have fond memories of your childhood.
Yes.
Where did other members of your extended family, grandparents for example, aunts, cousins, live? Were they in the same town as yourself?
Yes, two, when my father was born, so they were in our township. And the other fathers I didn't know because they passed away before I was born in Siget.
Did you or anybody else in your family belong to any particular organisation of a cultural or religious nature, political?
No, only we children started to belong to organizations. Like, that was very much, our parents were very much against, no, it wasn't Gordonia, it wasn't Habonim, what was the other one?
Hashomer?
No, Shomer.
Betar?
Betar. Betar was very popular in our place, in our area. And my parents were very much against it.
What, were they pacifist by nature, your parents?
No, they, because you see, they were more secular. And I think my parents, because they were more religious. Perhaps if it would have been Mizrahi,
Yes.
then they would have been happy.
Yes.
But that wasn't.
No. Did your family donate money to any particular cause?
Apart from, they always donated. My mother, something was, she promised always was a kupa, blue box.
Mm.
Otherwise, when they came to collect, no, it was the blue box. Maybe, as I remember, it was the blue box. Apart from that, my mother was very active in helping and collecting money for the poor, because we were not short of poor people.
Never.
In our place, lots. And if not exactly Absha, then it was an Oberabsha and there was an Interabsha, which were only 4 kilometers, about 4 kilometers. And ours was the center, and it was very poor Jews lived in that area.
Yes.
And it was just to wander, and we had always you would see the pots my mother used to cook. She always said, "We can't listen. Ain't it that
Mm. There was always a need.
It's always. And we had a Kostingl of Montag and Dienstag and Mittwoch.
The youngsters today don't know about these things.
I'm sure it's a different, you see, when you take me back to that place and the time, a complete different world.
How many Jews were there in your town?
Why did I never, I'll be so sorry, because my two brothers passed away and we always promised each other that one day they're going to sit down and talk about those things. I don't know exactly, but they, for sure, 50 families.
How many
Always
families,
many
how
children.
many families would there have been altogether? Would 50 families have been 10% of the population or 20%?
No, all in all, in the whole place would be, let's say, 2,000 people. So what would be the percentage? About 50,
Maybe.
60 families
Yes, not
maximum.
Maybe 10%,
Maybe.
if my arithmetic's all right.
Maybe. And well, okay.
You were quite clearly a small minority.
Yes, oh yes.
Was your
Very
fam-
small.
was your family Orthodox or Hasidic, or were they liberal in their beliefs?
Very Hasidic.
Hasidic.
I don't know what you call it.
Practicing.
Practicing, and for example, the rabbi from Siget, or from actually the Kretchen rabbi, he used to go pass through once a year all these places, visit the places, talk to the people. And we had a rabbi who was staying only in our place, my mother, you know, because she was very, very very conscientious, very. So then when I look back, she was very frum. Then I thought everybody's like that, but I think that she was, because why would the rabbi stay in our place? So, and they used to, they used to come from the village, and everybody came to the rabbi.
Mm.
Shabbat, the whole business, and the rabbi came to the place.
Would you say that the sort of lifestyle that your family lived, of an Orthodox nature, was fairly representative of the level of orthodoxy that was generally practiced in the town? Or was your level fairly exceptional?
No, I think not exceptional, but was more than many. Because, for example, my father had a beard and would never be without a hat.
No.
And